today's service in the Frank D. Ashburn Chapel. Today is a special service we have every year, Kippy Little Day. It's always a great day. Miss Rooney will be explaining the significance of the service, and Miss Hines will introduce our speaker, Chelsey Fioli. We would also like to welcome Chelsey's family and friends, many of whom are Brooks alums. Brooks alum and one of Chelsey's best friends, Casey O'Donnell, will share a poem before Chelsey speaks to us. We will begin our service with a brief moment of silence.
Today, we are here to remember Catherine Kippy Little. While at Brooks, Kippy was a history teacher, a dorm parent, and a girls' crew coach. In 1984, Kippy died tragically during a preseason practice with the Brooks crew team while on the Schuylkill River in Philadelphia. Kippy and a fourth form coxswain, Susan Bully, were in the coach's launch when Kippy's engine failed. While attempting to restart the engine, the boat drifted towards the Fairmont Dam. Kippy was left with no paddle to row herself to safety, a quickly approaching dam, and one life jacket. As the situation unraveled, she instructed the coxswain to put on the life jacket and swim to shore. Although her instinct did not mean her survival, it thankfully allowed Susan Bully to make her way to the shore uninjured. Any sport carries with it a unique set of challenges in the area of risk management. Rowing is certainly no exception. Brooks and other rowing teams across the country now use Kippy Little safety kits to avoid similar incidents. In remembrance of Kippy, we honor girls' athletics in a special service each year here at Brooks. On this day, we honor the outstanding achievements, accomplishments, and character of female athletes. In doing this, we celebrate the virtues of athletics for us all. Today, we are pleased to welcome a prestigious Brooks athlete. Ms. Hines will do the honors of introducing our special speaker.
When I was asked to introduce Chelsey Fioli, Brooks class of 2006, I found myself wondering, where do I start? How do I capture Fioli in just 2 minutes? Do I share that Coach Costello referred to this small Italian girl as pizza on the softball field? That in addition to being an outstanding athlete, she sang in the a cappella group, was a solid student, a leader, a friend? She was always upbeat, and she was quite the jokester. In fact, I found this on her yearbook page. Hinesy, tell Ben I'm coming back for him in 10 years. Well, that was 10 years ago. I have many fond memories of Chelsey, but for this celebration of Kippy Little, I will share with you a bit about Chelsey Fioli, the athlete. Passion, engagement, confidence. Chelsey Fioli embodies these core values. Chelsey is considered among the greatest of athletes to have attended Brooks School. During her 3 years at Brooks, Chelsey earned 9 varsity letters and helped lead her teams to 3 New England championships, 2 ISL championships, and 1 Big East softball invitational title. That's 6 championships in 9 seasons. Chelsey's athletic accomplishments are many. One of the top shortstops in the ISL, Chelsey was All-League softball 3 years in a row, the MVP of the league her senior year, and the Eagle Tribune All-Star for 2 years. While Chelsey was the spark plug of the basketball team and a leadoff slugger in softball, her most dominant sport and passion was and remains field hockey. A Globe All-Scholastic, ISL MVP, and Eagle Tribune Most Valuable Player twice, Chelsey is known as one of the greatest field hockey players to ever represent Brooks. After graduating from Brooks, Chelsey went on to play field hockey at Boston College, where she captained her team both junior and senior year. It comes as no surprise to hear that her athletic accomplishments continued. She was twice named All-American. She was honored as the Northeast Region Player of the Year. was named to the ECAC Division I first team and all ACC tournament team during her senior year, and earned numerous other honors. She holds the Boston College school record for most goals and points in a single season. Chelsey played for the U21 Junior National Field Hockey Squad and coached at the collegiate level, and recently started her own club field hockey program, Northeast Elite. Chelsey's accomplishments are many, too many to share here, but hopefully these give you a picture of the scholar athlete she is. Chelsey is so much more than these honors. What I remember most about Chelsey is her selfless, positive attitude and her competitive spirit, her loyalty to her teammates. The team always came first. She was a leader on and off the field. Every player on the team looked to Chelsey for her guidance, support, and even coaching. Her passion for the sport was contagious. Her commitment, confidence, grit, determination, and competitive spirit made everyone around her better and want to work harder. She is an amazing teammate and one of the most coachable players I've ever worked with. It is these qualities that I remember most about Chelsey. I also found this quote on Chelsey's yearbook page. I think it sums her up perfectly. What I found in my years as a competitive athlete is this: what separates a winner from the rest of the pack is not raw talent or physical ability. Instead, it is the drive and dedication to work hard every single day, and the heart to go after your dream, no matter how unattainable others think it is. Through her incredible work ethic, passion, and commitment, Chelsey shined on the playing fields. It wasn't until this past year, however, when Chelsey faced her most significant opponent, a challenge she neither anticipated nor encountered on the playing field. On September 2nd, 2015, Chelsey suffered a rare spinal stroke, leaving parts of her body paralyzed. It has taken all of the qualities that helped define her as a great athlete to face this new challenge and bring her to where she is today. I'll leave it to Chelsey to tell of her inspiring journey.
The Oak Tree by Johnny Ray Ryder, Jr. A mighty wind blew night and day. It stole the oak tree's leaves away, then snapped its boughs and pulled its bark until the oak was tired and stark. But still the oak tree held its ground while other trees fell all around. The weary wind gave up and spoke, how can you still be standing, oak? The oak tree said, I know that you can break each branch of mine in two, carry every leaf away, shake my limbs and make me sway. But I have roots stretched in the earth, growing stronger since my birth. You'll never touch them, for you see, they are the deepest part of me. Until today, I wasn't sure of just how much I could endure. But now I've found, with thanks to you, I'm stronger than I ever knew.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Heinze, for that incredible introduction. Hi, Ben. Call me. Actually, text me. I know you don't call. Thank you, Mav Mad, Mr. Packard, and the entire Brooks community for welcoming me back onto campus today. It's an absolute honor to speak on behalf of Kippy Little. It's not every day that I'll have the opportunity to honor such a true hero, a woman who possessed the greatest level of selfless courage and bravery. Thank you. I remember when I was a student at Brooks, the Kippy Little speakers were always some of my favorites and most memorable, most inspiring. Thank you, Kippy, for paving the way. It's been exactly 10 years since I've sat in this chapel as a big bad senior. Standing up here now is quite the surreal experience for me. My story begins last year on August 30th. On August 30th, I was on cloud 9. A week prior, I just bought myself a BMW convertible, a dream of mine I have had since I've been a little kid. I decided I'd take a ride to Rockport for a beach day, a much-needed cap to a very busy summer. As I drove to Rockport with the top down, the Beebs blaring on the radio, I couldn't wipe the smile off my face. The happiness and love for a life that I had in that moment consumed every inch of my body. For the first time in my life, I felt like I had it all. After graduating from BC in 2010, I started a club field hockey program, a program which would finish 4th place amongst the best 16 programs in the country at nationals in late July. My parents had just opened up a brand new Italian restaurant, a restaurant which I would bartend or help in any other position that they needed me for. I absolutely couldn't wait. I had found myself finally a great boyfriend. I was in a healthy, stable, loving relationship. I had just reached the 1-year anniversary of purchasing my first house. I couldn't wait to spend the fall doing house projects and continue enjoying my life as an independent homeowner. I had just put down a deposit on a brand new yellow lab puppy. I'd be getting him in September. And for the first time in over 15 years, I gave myself the fall off from coaching or playing field hockey. I was going to be a free woman, ready to travel, take a much-needed vacation, actually enjoy my life. My day in Rockport was perfection. Beach games all day, swimming in the ocean for hours, sitting on the sand at sunset with a cold beer in my hand. August 31st, I wake up Monday morning with a stiff neck. No biggie, I obviously slept wrong. I went to my parents, I worked from open until close. September 1st, I wake up Tuesday and the stiffness in my neck has gotten worse. Shut up, I tell myself, you're fine. I head to the restaurant and I work another double shift. By the end of the night, I'm wincing in pain about my neck. The other bartender, my mom, everyone, we obviously just shrug it off. I'm sore from working 2 doubles in a row. I'm fine. September 2nd, the day that forever changed my life. I wake up and immediately tell my boyfriend that my neck is still really stiff. It's painful. It's really tough to move. He suggests I call a chiropractor. I suggest he's being a baby. I'm fine. In an effort to relieve myself of some of the pain, I crack my neck. Like cracking my knuckles, a habit I do every single day of my life. But the neck cracking pain was intense. It was sharp. Definitely not the relief I had been hoping for. About 5 minutes later, it happened. In the blink of an eye, as I lay in bed, it felt like somebody lit a fire inside of my neck. I began rolling around, cringing in pain, but trying to remain tough. I winced to my boyfriend, something's happening inside of my neck right now. My boyfriend's trying to comfort me, telling me that everything's gonna be okay. He assures me I must have just pinched a nerve. But the pain is excruciating. It's absolutely debilitating. It felt like somebody was lighting fireworks inside of my neck that kept shooting downwards towards my spine and my shoulders. As the tears began to stream down my face, I tell my boyfriend he needs to call my parents immediately. Luckily, my dad is on the way to the restaurant, and he's less than 10 minutes away from my house. But 10 minutes seems like 10 years. I can't stop rolling around in agony. My dad arrives, and he's trying to calm me down as well, and also assures me that I must have just pinched a nerve, or maybe I threw out my back. But I can't stop screaming. I can't stop the tears. I'm scared to death in the most treacherous pain of my life. And then I roll over just one last time. My arms go numb. They're lifeless. I cannot move or feel them. Paralysis. My legs begin to fade away. I'm getting weaker and more disoriented by the second. 911. As we wait for the ambulance to arrive, it's not my own fear in that moment that scares me. It's the look in my boyfriend's eyes, the trembling in my dad's voice, the tears rolling down my mom's face. I'm terrified. The next 8 hours seemed to be the longest of my life. I lay in bed at a local hospital, tormented in pain, distraught with confusion, scared to death. What was happening to me? The doctors couldn't provide any answers. In 8 hours, the only thing that we knew is that I did not have meningitis and I did not have Lyme disease. I lay in fear, in and out of sobs, hyperventilating, in and out of reality. I begged for pain medication. I begged for answers. And for one of the first times in my life, I prayed to God, God, please don't let me die. It was time to leave the local hospital. At 9 p.m., I was rushed to MGH in Boston. Within 5 minutes of arriving, all the nurses and doctors swarmed me, and everyone assured me that they were going to figure out what was happening to me. 3 MRIs, 3 CAT scans, a spinal tap, multiple blood tests, you name it. What we all knew were the things that I did not have. As I said, I did not have meningitis, I did not have Lyme disease. I did not have cancer. I did not have a brain tumor. I did not have MS. And in case anyone was wondering, I did not pinch a nerve, and I definitely didn't throw out my back. Over 24 hours had passed, and finally the head neurological doctor at MGH approached my bedside. "We believe you had a stroke," he said with an eerie calmness to his voice. The room went silent. "When you cracked your neck yesterday, we believe a piece of cartilage the size of a grain of salt broke from your neck and clogged a blood vessel that supplies blood and oxygen to your spinal cord. This is a very rare spinal stroke," he said. "Something like this is over 1 in 200 million chance, and I'll likely never see it again in my career." 1 in 200 million? Why me? The good thing at this point, for the first time, my relief in finally knowing what was happening to me cut through some of the fear a little bit. Finally, some answers. However, with answers comes more tests, more treatment. I went into surgery so that the doctors could insert a scope into my groin so that they could detect any other potential clots in my system. Luckily, I was under anesthesia for that. As I awoke from surgery, I lay in bed lifeless. Exhaustion engulfed me. My physical body had completely shut down. I could hardly move, but internally, the pain was still excruciating. I was still trapped inside of this inferno of fireworks shooting down my neck and spine. With my family surrounding me, another doctor came in and made a statement that shook the halls of the hospital that day and created a panic that seeped its way through the room. "We can't conclusively say what the next steps are. If she ever walks again, we'll be able to figure out what the next prognosis is. If she ever walks again." Complete horror personified by 5 simple words. My boyfriend and brother almost pass out. My parents are crying, everyone in an utter state of shock and disbelief. Yet again, I lay there, lifeless but entrenched in pain and fear. My father walked outside of the door with the doctor and was told, "If she makes it through the night, we'll need to evaluate further." I was fighting for my life. Luckily, with the news of my stroke came the right medication. They injected the morphine. I fell asleep. Finally, no pain. I was woken in the middle of the night to a doctor telling me that I need an emergency procedure. Apparently, the IVs connected to my wrists and elbows were not getting medicine to my heart quickly or efficiently enough, so they needed to insert an intravenous through the jugular vein in my neck. I was told that this was a life or death decision for me, and my parents and I needed to sign paperwork to release consent because the risk was so high. Signed. I laid there wide awake and fully conscious as they inserted the tube through my neck. Please, God, don't let me die. I stayed in the ICU at MGH for 9 days, and the 9 days were a complete fog. Although intense medication allows for less pain, it also induces confusion and loss of memory. My days in the ICU can be summed up pretty simply: pain, confusion, and exhaustion. I'm transferred to Spalding Rehabilitation for the next 6 weeks. At Spalding, I undergo vigorous rehab every single day. MGH was a blur, so starting at Spalding felt like it hit me like a tidal wave. It was day 3 at Spalding, and after PT, my homework was to try and open the palms of my hands. I was sitting in my wheelchair, my dad by my side. As I unsuccessfully tried to open my hands, I had my first meltdown. You see, up until this point, all the tears had been because of physical pain. It took 12 days for me to shed my first tear of emotional pain. My dad and I wept together. I think it was the first time we both had a moment to breathe and actually digest what had happened. Just 12 days ago, I was running wild and free on the beach, and now I'm wheelchair-bound, unable to walk. My arms are paralyzed. I'm hooked to catheters. My shoulder pain is debilitating. My neck's in a brace. The nausea is unbearable. My physical self crumbled to nothing in the blink of an eye. For those at Brooks who knew me, I definitely wasn't defined by my excellence in the classroom. I tried hard in school, but I was in my element on the field. Being an athlete, embracing fitness, striving in any sort of physical competition, it's where I've always excelled. It's who I am. Well, it's who I was. I quickly realized I'd become a prisoner trapped inside of my own skin. My soul was alive, but my body was dead. I cried with my dad on day 12, but I regrouped and I tried to prepare myself for the journey ahead. Physical pain is one thing, and I'm tough. After MGH, I would never shed another tear over what my body was feeling. But the mental game, though, was the toughest game of tug of war I have ever played. My mind was consumed by demons. I never knew this type of darkness could exist. I'm an independent, strong chick, and I hate to ask for help. But it turns out I needed help doing absolutely everything. Whether I had an itch on my face that needed to be scratched, or I needed a nurse to help me in the bathroom, I quickly became a 27-year-old turned into an 87-year-old. Late nights at Spalding were the toughest. Days were consumed with PT and an outpouring of visitors, all that kept me distracted. But at night, in the moments before I fell asleep, my mind raced. Every emotion in the book would fog my mind. Shock, fear, anger, confusion. I couldn't escape the demons. But every morning was a new day for me, a new opportunity to take one step forward in my journey. By the grace of God, my prognosis had gone from, if she ever walks again, to, with enough time in rehab, she should be able to make a full recovery. Full recovery, that's all I needed to hear. Demons or not, every day at rehab, I approached my sessions with a positive attitude. I worked as hard as I could and grinded through 6 of the toughest weeks of my life. And slowly but surely, things began to shift. My neck brace came off after a couple of weeks. I upgraded from a motorized wheelchair to a manual. Although my arms remained paralyzed, my hands regained their full function, and thank God for that, because 8 weeks without texting or Snapchat would have been worse than the stroke itself. You know what I'm saying. The smallest accomplishments, like being able to brush my own teeth or put on my own shoes, felt like I had just climbed Mount Everest. By the sounds of the cheering, you would have thought the Red Sox won the World Series the very first time I was able to use the bathroom by myself. You know, you just never realize the type of things in life we take for granted. There were many small victories at Spalding, but the biggest triumph of all, on October 23rd, I walked out of Spalding and headed home. Today is April 11th. It's been over 7 months since my stroke. The first 2 weeks of being home were the toughest. I'll never forget walking into my bathroom that my uncle had made handicap accessible for me. As I sat down in my shower chair while my boyfriend bathed me, the tears streamed down my face. As dehumanizing as it once was, I had actually gotten used to the nurses giving me a shower. But I didn't prepare myself for the emotional flood that would hit me the very first time I had to ask my boyfriend to do it. Not the best way to keep the spark alive in the relationship. About a week later, I fought my parents tooth and nail to let me stay home alone for the first time. I just couldn't bear my loss of independence any longer. I was going crazy. Sure enough, as I was walking down the stairs, I slipped and fell and cracked the back of my head and gave myself a nasty concussion. I will say things have gotten better since then. I'm adjusting, I'm taking things slower. I've learned how to drive again, figured out how to cook for myself. Things are modified, but I'm living as independently as I can be at this point. And that sense of freedom feels incredible. This is where I'm at today. If I want to move my arms out to my side, this is how far they go. If I want to move my arms above my head, that's how far my shoulders will allow. Casey, you want to pass me a hymnal? Thank you. If I want to lift this book, I can't. These have gotten heavier since I've been here. But I can't lift this book. And the truth is, I'm in pain all of the time. I just showed you my arm and shoulder limitations, and with those movements comes severe pain. My knees grind and ache. My hips feel like they're on the brink of snapping. My quads feel like jello. My neck and back are one big knot. My body is constantly tingling and reacting very negatively to temperature change, like someone stabbing me with a knife. Oh, and I've lost all control of my bladder. I've peed my pants more as a 27-year-old than I ever have in all my years as a child. And don't worry, you can ask Heinz, I wouldn't drink a sip of water this morning because I was so nervous I'd have an accident up here. I am living my recovery in front of all of you right now. This is what vulnerability looks like. Since coming home, I've been attending PT 3 times a week. I've resumed my work routine, and I've tried to live as normally as possible. But how do you live normal when nothing about this situation is normal? Since my stroke, I've been surrounded by absolute unconditional love and support from my boyfriend, my family, my friends, my team at PT. There have been beautiful people helping me at all times, but the truth is, I've never felt so alone in my life. With a 1 in 200 million chance of this happening, you can probably imagine that finding a support group is pretty tough. The first and only time Google fails to provide me a search result is when I type in spinal stroke induced by neck cracking. On the outside, I look great, but on the inside, it's been a very silent and lonely battle at times. But I remain hopeful that things will continue to move forward for me. As I attend my pool workouts at PT, I float around with a handful of senior citizens, tortuously looking through a glass wall into the real gym where I once worked out. The therapy pool only gets about 4 or 5 feet deep, but as I am reminded every day when I look through the glass wall of what my life used to be like, at times I feel like I'm drowning in there. I do my best to stay determined that someday I'm going to shatter that glass barrier between the therapy pool and the gym. Someday I will be me again. Now, this speech could conclude in 2 different ways. I could tell you guys that everything happens for a reason, and this was all meant to happen to me, and I'm a bigger, stronger, better person for it, blah, blah, blah. If I did that, I'd expect you guys to take out your homework for next period's class and tune me out. Instead, I'm going to be real with you all. You deserve it. Life's going to throw some complete curveballs at you. You might lose a loved one. You might lose a home. You may go through a divorce. You might be laid off from work. Like me, you might have a health crisis. At some point, you will all be tested. And at that point, you will have a path to choose. Which path you take, how you react, how you choose to prevail, will forever define you. I still have well over a year until I'm 100% again. Every day is a battle for me, but every day is also a choice. There are days I would give anything to stay in bed and cry and feel bad for myself. But I get up. I go to PT. I get back on the field. I spend time with friends. I choose to be happy, and I choose to live my life. When life tests you, you fight and you survive. My stroke didn't happen for a reason. It happened because I cracked my neck and had some terrible luck. I know I'll beat this. I have to. I've learned to ask for help. At times, I've learned that it's okay to cry and to show emotion. I've learned not to sweat the small things, because in an instant, your life can be so quickly flipped upside down. I have learned that in the darkest times of your life, you need to find something to hold on to, something to inspire you to keep pushing forward. Will I be stronger after this experience? Probably. Eleanor Roosevelt once said, "You gain strength, courage, and confidence by every experience in which you really stop to look fear in the face. You are able to say to yourself, I have lived through this horror. I can take the next thing that comes along." I know that no matter what life throws at me, I know I can survive, and I know I'll win. Thank you.